order, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. We have the agenda before us. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections?
Yes, Mr. President, we're going to move fire number 4 up to unfinished business number 1. It's all part of unfinished business number 1.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, so the agenda will stand as edited. So the first thing that we have is the sheriff's report. Sergeant Cohn, welcome.
Thanks. In front of you, you should have the August 2019 monthly report. For our calls for service, slightly down compared to August 2018. We had 1,591, down 5.1%. Our crashes and our crashes were with injury, however, were both up. With 72 crashes and 15 crashes with injury. Our alarms were down, that was good, with 98. And our units were able to conduct 451 traffic stops. So that's about a 56% increase as opposed to August of 2018. Citations were obviously up quite a bit, 261 total citations, with an 81% increase. 75 arrests, that was also up, I would say dramatically, with 31.5%. And they were able to conduct 61 vacation checks. Detective Ross had 16 cases assigned, and he was able to close 5 of those. I think all but one was with an arrest. And then you should have the yearly August 2018 to August 2019, and then our August yearly from 2013 to present. So, any questions?
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, good numbers.
Yeah. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks.
Is there anyone in the audience that has an issue for the sheriff while they are here? Also, Lieutenant, I just want to thank you for the heads up. When there's certain things going on out in the township and, you know, there are activities that might be spontaneous or whatever, just that little bit of a heads up, quick hitter, we all appreciate those coming out. So thanks so much for keeping us updated on those as well. Anything else? All right, that takes us to unfinished business.
Thank you. I'm going to turn unfinished business number 1 over to Chief Schallenberger.
I guess I'll read the resolution first, then we'll do discussion there. I have a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize a purchase and payment to various vendors for paving, construction, and gravel miscellaneous project to install a driveway at the fire training building at 2855 Easton, not to exceed $20,000 to be taken from Fund 21A02K.
I will second. It was moved on by Trustee Hawes. I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. This is just in regards to our upgrades. So we have an overhead aerial photo, and we are looking at a couple things. Obviously, we share this site with both yard waste drop-off and fire training, and we think that we can coexist by doing a few changes. But you know, one of the things from a fire training standpoint is they need to have the ability to be able to do scenarios, and those scenarios may require them from coming in from different directions, multiple directions, and I think this pattern has been there from the existence of that fence being out. So it was in looking at how we were going to use this property, we decided to take a look at the layout, and Chuck and I had also a long conversation today about that, and I think Chuck, Joe, Eric, I'm not sure who else was involved in this, but I think they spent a lot of time looking at it, and it sounds like it's going to be best for everybody. Did I say all that right?
Yes, and I think our estimate, I'm a little high on my estimate. I mean, Joe gave us a little bit lower, you know, we wanted to do some catch basin work there and to capture some of this water. And so we kind of a little extra in there just in case.
Chuck wanted to add some asphalt that I didn't have counted for.
Yeah, we want to connect, on the first drawing, connect the two, like the parking lot, make it one big
And
area.
then those two wings off the hose thing you wanted to pave.
Yeah.
So
This is almost paved now, and that way we can kind of get that flow through there.
Yeah.
And clean it up at the same time.
Yeah.
from my standpoint, I'd like to get started on it as soon as possible because this is a good time of the year to do this before the heavy leaves season.
Oh, yeah.
So we can have it in operation. I mean, Eric's working on getting the gate put in already so we can use it without the other, you know, what we plan on doing next year.
Yeah.
Joe, mind show, I'm trying to look at that, I'm seeing all concrete, where are you?
Well, it's all asphalt.
No,
It's all asphalt.
This is
Yep.
existing.
Coming down here now.
Yeah.
What am
This
I
is where
seeing?
everybody comes in right
Yeah.
now. It goes
Right.
back here.
They go back through,
Yeah.
So,
This is the training building in the middle.
Yeah.
because we bring them in and out of the same, and you're bringing them.
They come here, we're gonna
We're gonna
move
swing
them
them
out
around.
that end.
yeah.
Gotcha,
They
now,
go down, we're
okay.
gonna send
So
them
the
out
fire
that end.
station is to the right.
This way we could put some kind of
Okay.
barricades
Back
or
to the fire
posts to
station
keep
is
them
to
off
the
of
right.
Chuck's
Okay,
property.
gotcha,
You know.
So that's actually the training
Yeah.
complex, so.
gotcha, and that asphalt's going all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And then item number 2 is still dealing with the yard waste. It's actually an amendment of the resolution 19-405, which was passed on September 10th, to change the amount to not to exceed to $26,860 to reflect the 2 quotes attached to install 2 barrier gate operators, 1 proxy card reader, and add 1 cantilever slide gate and operator system at the Plain Township yard waste.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, discussion.
Eric?
So with Chief Sabo's recommendation, the last meeting that we had in routing that traffic through, if we add a third gate to the east, which is the top of the picture there, we can leave the middle gate intact, allow for fire to have unlimited remote controls to be able to operate again independent. We can cordon off that area with, you know, say temporary barriers that could be moved relatively easily by our personnel. So we would end up with 3 gates, 2 being used for the yard waste, 1 for fire only. And the other reason that we kind of wanted to put this in front of the board early is because when we go to put our arms in to restrict our traffic in and out, where we're going to put that second opener is going to be dependent upon whether or not we have a third gate. So we would put the arms at the east and west side, and then obviously the 3 gates would all have the gate openers where fires would just open on demand. The other 2 would open based on timers.
Because right now, if it's not a yard waste day and fire's back there training, people come on back. So we've got to shut that down
Yes.
and keep training safe.
And what Lisa did was she amended, so you approved the arm mechanisms and all of the things that we had talked about the last meeting or so. This would be an amendment to that, to add that third gate, really as a convenience, and I think also from a safety standpoint, separating fire training from the public. If they are operating at the same time, this would be the safest, most efficient way to do it.
Changing of the days, that's gonna decrease, right, Chuck? I mean, if we're down there together at the same time, so.
And with loading semis and all that, you know, even when we're down there, we still have a loop for them to get around us and.
Yeah, yeah.
And when Joe's guys are working, cleaning, you know, they're loading.
Sure. Good. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And that's the end of unfinished business.
Thank you. That takes us to the fiscal officer's report. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in the amount of $295,487.39.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
I will move on fiscal officer number 3.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the investment report for the month of August. Total interest was $9,592.29.
Good job.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment in an amount not to exceed $18,631.50 to be taken from 01A26Q to reimburse the Canton Municipal Court for Plain Township's proportional share of the operating cost.
I will move on fiscal officer number 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
That concludes the Fiscal Officer report.
Thanks, Don. That takes us to the administrator.
Thank you. Administrator number 1 is a resolution to enter into the attached service agreement between Plain Township Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, and Earthenwood Products for the transportation and disposal of the yard waste collected and to authorize payment.
I will move on administrator number 1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
This is as a result of the meeting that we had with John from Kurtz Brothers with the commitment to continue our agreement for the year 2021 and 2022. You'll see those years, there's a very slight increase. Next year, it's a $3 increase. Both years, it's a $3 increase per year, which is very nominal.
Okay, anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to amend Resolution 18-375, which was passed on July 24, 2018, to change the salary split to administration 40%, zoning 10%, road 10%, fire 30%, sheriff 10% from Fund 09A01, retroactive to September 8, 2019, for the career captain of communication safety position.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion.
It's removing the 10% split from parks, just due to the lack of funding.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to approve payment to Canton Data Print for the printing, creation and editing of the postage for the 2019 Plain Township Winter Newsletter.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And that's the end of the administrator report.
Thank you. That takes us to Fire Chief Schellenberger.
Item number 1 is our monthly report. That's the new engine that's in service at Station 2.
Wow. Looks nice. You had it over at Central for just a little bit of time while you get it out.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a nice looking piece of equipment.
Nothing significant, Chief?
No, times are pretty much
Good.
within scope there.
Any questions? All right, number 2.
And item number 2 is a resolution to, I'll summarize this very lengthy resolution to do our renewal levy for 8.7 mils, to certify the amount from the Stark County Auditor, and it'd be a 5-year renewal levy, starting in 2020.
I also move. Second's been moved and seconded, discussion, obviously.
This would not be any new tax.
Correct, yeah.
That's correct.
And this is the first step in the process, we have to do this first. Obviously then, once we have that and we go to advertise, that's when we'll continue to point out, it is a renewal, it's not a new levy. It's the only one we have. So our entire operational process depends and relies on this levy. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize for uniform allowance blanket not to exceed $15,000 to be taken from Fund 10A09H for the purpose of payment to various vendors for uniforms and uniform accessories.
I will move on FD number 3.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And that concludes fire department.
And we've already done number 4, we did that. Okay, thanks, Chief. That takes us to road, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, all I got tonight's the monthly report.
Flat topping is complete.
Yes. The only thing I'd like to let the board know, asphalt curb,
And we've discussed this, yeah.
we,
Last few years.
you know, Central Ally bid the curb to us this year, and back in, we made several phone calls about getting it, and then they told us they couldn't make it anymore because the plant broke. Well, I didn't buy that, because we've already had residents purchase curb, and we've tore out old curb that we damaged, you know, so. Several conversations with Mr. Doug Woodall, they fixed the plant, and they're gonna make us our curb. Supposed to start Monday, and now he's delayed it till Thursday, so we have to at least get this year's in, or we're gonna have to reimburse people for, the curb plus what we already tore out and base. I don't know if they're gonna bid it next year, this could be the last year of it, because they were the only ones that bid it, and I called several other ones and nobody wanted to bother with it, so.
Yeah. It's kind of old.
It's a special oil,
Yeah, it's
they
an
got
older
a line
process.
to it, it's a
Yeah.
process they just don't wanna do, they gotta make it each ton individually,
Yeah.
you know. So,
I have some residents,
yeah, we're gonna get this year's done, one way or the other.
they didn't know it was delayed.
Yeah, we've called several,
Have you
several
called
of them called us, wanting to know what's
You
going
guys
on.
have had a couple, but I've had a couple residents actually take care of it. Did you get back with them so they know before
Yeah,
they?
everybody knows that it's gonna happen this year, it's just delayed from its normal time, it would have been done already by now.
And that, we kind of knew that was
Coming, I
developing anyhow.
Right, so.
We just have
Still
our
have a lot
fingers.
of it out there, so there's gonna be a lot of questions.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Wow.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you. That takes us to zoning. Mr. Farrar.
Yes, sir. The first item on the agenda is the monthly report.
Still cranking out new construction. I do think it's just important to note and support of this. I think I passed along the update to some of you individually, maybe not everybody, but the fountains at Edgewood that we approved,
Yes,
Josh,
yes.
12, 18 months ago. Ryan Holmes was to start their demo unit for the villas on the north side of the church sometime this week. All of the lots on the south side that abut Stonehenge, DeHoff has appointed 2 sales representatives so we may start to see activity there. Saratoga Hills, I mean, that stretch up Butler, the whole road widening and all that, it's almost filled out. So as I was talking to the developer, indicated that they're gonna start their next phase, it sits back up behind the clubhouse. So where Forest View leaves the old Laurel Ridge allotment into the Saratoga Hills, it's sort of dead ends. That's gonna be the next phase. And then their phase after, which that phase they're planning to start hopefully before end of year. But while they're doing that, then they're gonna go back and figure out the rest of the stretch of Botler. So there's 2 more phases there, plus Pinecrest Meadows, which is on the backside of Bobble Lake, which is the south side of Mount Pleasant. They've cutting in the 2nd Street for additional lots there. And then Wicker Creek, it's still building out like crazy. They've got all the infrastructure in there, so we'll probably still continue to see a number of permits coming in here.
We've already gotten the Ryan Holmes model home permit. It's already done.
Wow.
Good to see that.
Okay, number 2.
Item number 2 is on the agenda is a resolution to declare item A as a nuisance abatement.
Also move.
And I will second that. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, I guess that's a good sign. We're seeing less and less.
The dry weather keeping it grass from
Yeah.
growing.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And the third item on the agenda is a resolution to declare items A through H as nuisance abatement payments.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And that's all.
Thanks, Tom. That takes us 2 parts, Mr. Stank.
Thank you. Item number 1 is the monthly report. Okay, and just item number 2, I want to thank Lieutenant Carver. We had e-waste recycling here on Saturday. It was incredibly busy, so much so that we had traffic backed up to Middle Branch and Easton. I called Lieutenant Carver in half a panic and asked if I could help with some traffic control before somebody swung out around the line and clipped somebody else. We also had drug take back that Lieutenant Carver was able to provide on the spot for us without any interruption.
No, it was scheduled.
Was it
It
scheduled?
was scheduled,
Nonetheless,
yeah. He's gonna, we were unaware of the scheduling, so we're gonna make sure in the future we're aware. But you're right, there was drug take back that we were unaware of, and we made that phone call.
it was done, and you know, what people don't realize is he has 2 infant twins at home and a toddler. He was home on the weekend with those kids, and he still took time to take care of that in less than 5 minutes. And I can't thank him enough for doing it, because as someone who's dealing with a sliver of what he is, I can understand how tough that can be.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for.
Rob has developed empathy for.
Yeah.
Parenting.
Yes.
I have. I've been in the fetal position more than once myself.
Yeah. He says all his nerves are ×2, so he's okay with just ×1.
Yeah. Save the
But
money.
I would agree, thank you, that, that's kind of a last minute thing, kind of busy, and, when Rob called me, he'd say, man, we have to try to accommodate as best we can. And when he sent me that back, and of course then I shipped you a text of, we all appreciate that you jumped on that, so.
Yeah, and I know Rob's saying thank you, but that's not the first time. I mean, we've had incidences where
Yeah,
we've had a
100%.
resident at the office and we're like, oh, and he just comes out and it's been a very good working relationship.
We appreciate it.
Very
Thank you.
responsive.
Okay.
That's all for parks. Thank you.
So, nothing from the law director, no communications. And that brings us to the portion of the meeting that if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address the board, please feel free to do so at this time. Everybody's eyes are on you because you're the only one here.
Just a thing.
So, based on that, We have approval of minutes of September 10th, so I will move for the approval of those minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And we think that we have no need for executive, correct? So I will move for adjournment at 6:25 PM.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?